let me touch base with you guys real quick because it's been quite a while. Something that was stirred up in my spirit is to address the issue of once saved, always saved, an excuse to live a life of sin. Once saved, always saved is not an excuse to live a life of sin. Apostle Paul said, must we sin for grace to abide? And he answered it, God forbid. You see, when we intentionally sin, the Bible records that there is now no more sacrifice for that kind of sin, but a fearful looking towards judgment. So when we know that something is sin and we do it anyway, we're condemning ourselves even more. You know, there are times when, as Christians, we might fall because we didn't see something coming, we did not anticipate it, or we did not even know, ignorance. And the Holy Spirit will minister unto us that thing you did, or through someone, or through a word, or through, gaining more insights, and it's like, oh, that thing we did was not right. At that point, we just ask for forgiveness, and God forgives us, and we move on. And ideally, we should not do those things again. When we know and willfully sin, it's almost like an insult and injury. It says we crucify Christ a second time, over and over again. When we know the truth, we've seen the light, we've seen God, we understand the depth of his holiness, his righteousness, and we come to him thinking we can bring ourselves in that, like, oh yeah, I'm only human. Then you deny the grace that makes you more than just human. Because Christ has given you the grace to live above sin, and his word does not lie. So if you say, oh, well, I sin because I'm only human, something you knew clearly was a sin, it means you do not understand the power of the grace that has been given to you to live above sin. You see, I want to remind you of something that God himself said. When we start to accommodate thoughts of sin, we know it is a sin, but it's pondering in our head. We're thinking, oh no, I shouldn't do that. Oh, I probably shouldn't do that. Oh, I know it's a sin. Oh, you're giving chances of you to rebuke the enemy immediately and say, nope, I'm not doing that. That is a sin. God expects better from me. I can do better through Christ who strengthens me. I trust in God to see me through. I'm not going to lower my standard to the level of the enemy. I'm going to rise above temptation. What does James say? James said that God does not tempt us. We're tempted by our own desires and our own lust. It means when we start to ponder and ruminate on righteousness, then we allow the devil, we give him a chance to come in and sow seeds and water them and grow them to bring forth evil fruit. God said to Cain, which is what I was going to. God said to Cain, Cain, sin is crouching at your door. It seeks to devour you. It means every time we start to ponder sin, the enemy, demons, powers of darkness, they come and they encamp at the gate of our hearts, waiting for us to open the gate, waiting for us to tear down our defenses. And that's what sin does. The moment we sin, we open a chasm, we break the hedge, and the enemy who has been crouching, he jumps in. He doesn't wait. People would say, oh yeah, if I sin, I will beg for forgiveness and God will forgive me. Honey, in the spiritual realm, what happens in the distance between the time you sinned and the time you ask God for forgiveness? A day with God is like eternity. So the moment you allow, say, okay, I'm going to sin, I'm going to come ask God for forgiveness, what has happened is the enemy was crouching before you sinned, remember? The moment you sin, you broke down the wall of defense. The holiness is a defense. Righteousness is a covering. It says, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Unrighteousness cannot dwell in the secret place of the Most High. Dirt, filth, unholiness cannot hide under the shadow of the Almighty. The moment you sin, out you go. Immediately. So what happens between the time you sin and the time you now came back and say, oh God, please forgive me? You've allowed the enemy a chance to come in. Then when you come back to beg for forgiveness, you know how long it would take for you to now get that enemy that has camped in there to come out and undo all the destructions and all the wickedness that he has intended. You see, this doctrine of once saved, always saved, an excuse to sin and walk in unrighteousness has been the singular tool that the enemy has used to destroy Christianity for eons. You wonder why great pastors fall. You wonder why great movements are discombobulated, destroyed from the inside out. Because the enemy, he sows a seed and he comes and he waits for the righteous, for the children of God to just open a little window